welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is going to be the next part of our music app series. So in this video we are gonna design the onboarding screen, and along with that we'll work on the login and register screen. So this will be something like that. So without wasting any time, let's just get started with the first screen of the design that we have, and that is the onboarding screen. So in the onboarding screen you can see there are a couple of things. We have this card that have a couple of highlighted text. Then we have this get started button. We definitely have this thing, but I think since the text is just one, so maybe we can change that. But yeah, let's see. Let's get started with that. And then we have this image, which is I think it's a JPEG, so we can't do much about that. And then we have this background that we can use. So we'll get started with things one by one. First thing that I would do is that I'll prepare all these elements that are required. For example, the color that we have, I think we have already stored the color in the design, and then we need this icon of this girl. So we'll go to the export, and it's a PNG. So I think PNG is fine. We can export that PNG file as image girl. Then we'll go over here, and then from there we'll export the background. So basically we don't need this, so I'm gonna take that off by removing it from here. So this is one thing. And then we have this card. Oh, unfortunate, sorry, this text is not required anymore. This is not required anymore. This, and then we have this background, and along with that these button. Okay, so this is something that we have. Okay, we don't also need to remove the status bar. Okay, everything is gone, and now you can see that we can export that, and we'll also try to use, I think we can use SVG for that. So we'll just use the SVG for that, and then I'm gonna say IC welcome underscore BG. That's something that we have done. And so let's just get back to the code. And now inside this code you can see we have this login screen, we have this home screen, and we have widgets that we created in the previous videos. So the first thing that I'll do is that I'll basically import all those files that basically created exported. So like there are some vectors, so first I'll basically load all those vectors. We'll go there, try to load the vectors that we have. I think that should be the first one. That's a vector, so I'm gonna say IC underscore back. This will be using for the back button. Then we will be creating, I think we need one more vector. We should have one more vector. So I think there is some problem with this vector, so we should export the PNG rather than an SVG. So let's just export that. The problem with PNG is that it will basically scale depending on the screen size, but I think for now we should be good. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna copy all those PNGs, and now I'll basically load it in my Android Studio over here. So we'll cancel that. I copied it from there, and then I pasted over here. I have added that. Now this welcome needs to be renamed to welcome.png. Okay, so we have this Google, IC back, IC Facebook, girl image, and we have this background that we needed. That's one thing. Now what we need to do is that as a first thing, as a starter, we need onboarding, right? So for onboarding, let's just get over here, go to package, and then over here let's call it onboarding. This onboarding will be something like this. Now again, let's right click there, go to new, and then this time I'm gonna go MVVM feature templates, and then this MVVM feature templates here I'm gonna say onboarding. Okay, and when I click OK, you will see it will generate all the necessary files that are required for me so that I can use. And then based on that, there are a couple of things that we don't need. For example, in this case, we don't need any state or any case, anything like that. We just need one state, and that is going to be the normal state or like a nothing state. So I'm going to say normal for this, which sounds much better. Then over here, we go over here. So it started complaining, which is fine. So I'm going to use this as this point, and the rest is this. Okay, now you can see that we have something like this that we can do. And then in the view model, we should also have that as normal only. So nothing else that's there. Okay, so if you go back to the design that we have, let me just Control Z everything so that we can get back everything the way it was. So when you look into this specific section, we have this text which have some highlights as well, like latest, greatest, and museum. And when you there are like different ways. One is that one way would be to basically add this directly hard code those text into your code, but that is not an ideal situation, because like let's say if the app is translated into a different language, how would you handle that? In that case, it will become very difficult to handle it for each kind of language, and because the order in translation, the order can change and things like that can happen. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do slightly different approach for this that will basically help me keep the track of the highlighted text and then manage it in a better way. So basically that's something that we'll do. So now that's something. Now let's just get back to our Android Studio, and now you can see the first thing that we need is a box. I'll go with a box, let's say, and that box is going to be something as this will be a modifier dot fill max size. Okay, now this fill max size, and then we can also set a background for this. But we can also set the background, but I think the reason I basically used box was that I wanted to set an image of the background that I had. So I'm gonna use image, and over here I'm gonna use painter, and then we will be using painter resource r dot drawable dot let's just import the R file. So once you import that R file, it should be as welcome. I think that's the one that we can use, and along with that it also require content descriptions, which is required. And along with that, what I'm going to say, modifier dot fill max size, that's a modifier. And we also need a content scale. So for content scale, I can say content scale fit bounds. Okay, so that's something, that's the first thing. And now I'll basically use the onboarding screen, go to my main activity over here, and inside this main activity, rather than using this, I'm gonna use onboarding screen. Okay, so basically this means that now it will be showing this onboarding screen to me. Let's just go over here, try to run it on my emulator that's already running. Okay, so now this is built, and you can see that we have this background, which is fine. Okay, the next thing that we would do is that we will basically create this card in the bottom that will basically have this round corners, and along with that it will also have some button and stuff like that. Okay, so let's just get that done. So over here inside this image section, this box section, the next thing that I'll do is that I'll basically let's create a separate composable. So let's make a composable and call it as function onboarding card. That's something. Okay, and now this onboarding card is basically going to be column, and we'll set the size of that is modifier dot fill max width. That's one thing. And then along with that, as I said, we'll be clipping it so that it's basically a round corner shape. Let's say that it's 16 dp, and then after that we'll be setting a background for that, and that background will basically be material theme dot color schemes dot background. So that's something that we have used for this. Now inside that there are plenty of things that we'll use. First thing that we need is that we need a button. So we'll be using a button that's have a on click. For now let's just don't say anything in the on click, and then along with that we'll use a text that says get started. So that's something that we have, and then after that we'll basically be creating a raw. Okay, and then this raw should be, let's say this is basically let's add a modifier to this. Modifier dot size, and that size is going to be, sorry, that width, then that width should be 100 dp, 100.dp. The reason, because I want them to be small, and then inside that I'll basically create two. Okay, just one more thing before, sorry about that. I'll have the height as 10.dps. Okay, and now inside that we'll basically be creating a one box with the file mix with this, and then the second one as well, and that will also be pretty much similar, but the color should be background, and that background should be material theme dot color scheme dot gray or something. Surface, I think surface should be the one. Okay, now there are certain things that I would like to do. For example, I would want to clip that, and the round corner shape should go around 5 dp, half of this, because I want that to be like properly rounded corners. And then this one is primary, this one is surface, so I think that should be fine. We'll see if we want to make more changes into this, but for now it should be enough. Now, as per my understanding, what we have done is that we have created this button, we have created these two icons, and now it's time for this specific text. And you can also see that there is like a specific kind of spacing between all the items that we have. So let's just do that as well. We'll be using padding inside, and that is going to be 16 dp. That's one thing. This row should also have padding before sizing, so we'll be using padding padding, and that is going to be vertical 16.dp. so vertically it will leave some space from both top and bottom. And now over here we need a text, so this text is going to be pretty simple text for now. Let's say that text is something like this, but instead from the latest to the greatest hits. So it says from the latest to the greatest hits, play your favorite track on Museum. So we'll be saying play your favorite track on Musify. Okay, so that is pretty much what we have. Maybe we can use headline medium for that, so we don't have to make all those spacing. And is there anything that I'm missing over here? I think we are not missing anything. We just need to like you can add one more thing to that. We should need pass modifier to this because we would want to add some sort of alignment to this as well. So we'll be using this, and this alignment would be going to bottom center. Okay, we don't need to add any padding to that. We don't need to add any sizing, any sizing to that. So this is basically something that we have. Now let's try running that to see how it looks, and then we'll start working on like improving the design and see how we can better fix the design issues that we encounter. Okay, so I would say pretty bad. Like not pretty bad. We have the card. There is still some problem with the spacing. It should leave some space from the right and left. The background should be dark rather than white. And I think the reason for that is we are on a light mode while our design is on the dark. So let's just switch that. Come on. Let's just change that to dark mode. Go to edit side. And we should use this over here as well. We can go back. Now we should have this dark theme. Now it's looking much better. We definitely need to fix the color for this whole section, and all these things should be centered aligned as well, depending on how we want them. So let's just work on that. So this color should be labeled large for button, and also we need a modifier for that. That is going to be modifier.fillMaxWidth. That's one thing. We also need some padding for this before we can add anything, so that it leaves some spacing, at least horizontal, if not vertical. And this one is slightly concerning because both are basically setting it to max size, while we have we need to add some weight for that so that it takes 50-50. Also the size is quite big, so I'm gonna use 70 for that and 8 for this, so it's slightly adjusted accordingly. And also will center align almost everything, so horizontally and vertically everything would be centrally aligned, so we can see a much better picture of how it looks. Also now you can see like the stuff looks much better, but we still have some things that we can improve. For example, the text size over here is still smaller, so maybe we can use headline large before, and this time we'll see how it turns out much better, and add some padding as well to this. So we'll be using modifier.padding, that's 16.dps. That's one thing. And now over here, much better. Okay, let's do a couple of more things like text align. That is going to be center, text align centers, and we can also add fill max width to this. Now you see we have something like this. Now the problem is that we want some text that basically can be highlighted, for example this latest and this greatest, and then we should also highlight the musify based on the color, which we are not doing right now. So how do we do that, or how do we basically fix that? One way is basically we can use an annotated text, for example, rather than using this. Instead, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say build annotated string, and then over here we can do something like this. Okay, so what we did is that basically the first thing is simply that. The second one I'll show you. Basically I'll paste almost everything inside that, and I'll just take the musify and change it to this. So material typography headline large. We can also change the color for that. So this basically what we're gonna do is that we're gonna say span style, and then we'll be using text color, color, and then I'm gonna say material theme dot color scheme dot primary for that. Now you will see when we basically run this, you can see that this changes, right? The color for this changes like this. Now this should be fine. Now you can see that basically it's changing like that. You can change the color for a specific text. Now what happens is that, let's say if I translate it into Hindi or Urdu, the whole structure of this, basically this whole structure changes, and we cannot basically basically target the exact same. Like we'll have to add some sort of checks for each language. It will become really hectic. So how do we fix that? How do we do that? So for that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how we can create our custom tags in the strings.xml and then use them over here with our text. So let's just get that. We will go over here to the values. From there, we'll go to the strings.xml. Now over here, let's just create a string, call it onboarding text. And then we will be using something like this. Now, from there, you can basically change almost everything. Now from there, what you can do is that you can define what specific text you want to highlight. For example, the latest, greatest, and the app name is something that we want to highlight, right? So what you can do is that you can just use the tag as highlight like this as a starting tag. And this will become the closing tag for this. Okay. And then from the latest, and we also have this greatest. So we'll change that greatest as well to this. And then we will be using Musify as this as well. And we'll close that. And I think let's just make it a little bit okay, so what I did is over here is that you can see that I added this highlight tags, which are not actually available normally when you are using in a string, but these are like custom tags that we will be using. And then what we are gonna do is that over here inside this, we'll basically, let's just create, we'll go to the widgets, go to widgets, create a Kotlin class and call it text. Okay, so this is going to be a class, sorry, a file that will basically contain some composables. And then over here we will be using function, sorry, composable highlighted text. So now over here, what it requires is that it requires text resource ID. That's a string, sorry, that's a int that you require. Second thing, what you need is that you need a style, a span style for that. So I'm gonna say span style as a span style. This will basically be a highlighted span style. Okay, then you can define a modifier for that depending on what modifier. If not, it will be using the default modifier. And then you can also define the text style. So I'm gonna say text style, that will be the normal default text style that will be applied to the rest of the string. And you can also define text align for that. Okay, so what I did is that basically I got the text highlighted highlighted text. Okay, so now what I did is basically I set the text resource ID, span style, modify, text style, and align ID. These will be the one that we will use going forward. Now the next thing that we need to do is that basically we need to run some sort of mechanism where we can apply or like build the annotated string that we want. Okay, so how do we do that? So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to, from the string that we have, we need to identify what exactly were the points where we want to add those span styling, right? So now inside that, what we need to do is that the first thing that I need is that I need a raw text, which is going to be resource ID. Sorry, that's going to be string resource r dot sorry, not the it's going to be text resource ID. So this what it will do is that it will give me that raw text that I have, and then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create that annotated string, which means now build annotated string is something that we will be using. So now over here what we need to do is that we need to identify what part of the string of the raw text that we had is basically the one that we need to highlight, which can be applied with the style, and the rest would be basically used without that. Okay, so for that, the first thing I need to do is that I need to have a regex. So I'm gonna say regex is equals to, now over here what we need to do is that we need to go to the strings.xml file, go over here, select this highlight text as a sample and add it over here. Now inside that, what we need to do, we need to define that, okay, we want a specific like any kind of text that's there, that's inside this highlights starting tag and ending tag will be used as a parameter, and then we will be using to regex so that it can be converted into a regex file, regex. Okay, and then the next thing would be to create last index. This last index will help us identify the known and highlighted text value so that we can basically apply the proper styling for that. Okay, now these are the things that we have. Now the next thing that I'll need is that I'll basically create a match in regex dot find all, and then over here I'm going to pass that raw text inside that, which means now what it will do is that it will find all those matches from this. Okay, and now whenever we find a match, what we'll do is that basically we'll say that from the start, from the last index, let's say it was 0 previously, till that specific match, we will be appending that text as a raw text or as a normal text, and then the rest, the match group that we get, will be highlighted. So that is something that we need to do, which means now we need a starting point for that. So we'll say vol start is equals to match.range.first. This is again the first index of like the starting point of the highlighted text, and then the rest would be to basically get the end of that, which means the match.range.lost as something. And now what we need to do is that we need to find out the before text, which means it will be raw.substring.last index as start. Let's say in our case, if we look into this strings.xml, our 0 index is there, our starting point is there. So this is the start point and this is the before text, and then this is the highlighted text that will be basically work on. Next time we'll change that value to this, so that next time it basically initiate from there. So that's something that we are gonna do. Okay, now before text is something that we got. Now we need to change the highlighted text. So I'm gonna say highlighted text is equals to match.group. We can always add this nullable check to that, so that we know that okay, there is like nothing wrong with that. And now what we need to do is that we can just append that. So basically we appended this text before, and then we can also add the styling, like a span styling to this, so that we append a proper, and then you know that we will be passing the span style from the outside. So that's fine. Okay, now when you do all that thing, what you need to do is that you need to change that last index. Now okay, let's just make it var to the end of that, which means now this will basically be the end of the range. So basically the last item, let's say it was this, it will add one more space, and then from there you can take that as an end index, and it will go till the last point, like till the last value that we have. So basically now we have this annotated string ready. Now over here what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a text, a simple text, and over here we'll pass the annotated string as we have. We can also add the modifier is equals to modifier. You can also add style to that as text style, and lastly you can also align that as well. So that's something that we'll do. There is one more thing I think we missed over here, and that is basically to append the last element. So let's say if the last, like if you have some extra text that's after the highlight, in our case I think we don't have that over here, but in other languages it might be possible. So for that, if there is some spacing, like some text that's left, you can always add that by verifying if the last index is basically still less than the length of the raw text, then you can use it as this. So yeah, I think that's pretty much. And now we will be using this highlighted text in our card and see how it works. Okay, so where we were using this text, instead what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say highlighted text, and now you know that we need to pass the ID. So that is going to be onboarding text. For span style, you can always use this color for primary. You can use the padding that we used over here, text align and center, and the rest you can just get rid of that. So basically that's something that we passed into this, and now let's run it to see if it works as expected. Okay, so for some reason the style is not being applied, which is odd. Let's see why that happened. Okay, so now let's just use a C data string. So I'm going to say string name onboarding text, and let's use C data for that. Like use this, and then from there you can always get this, place it over here, close, and this. So I think once you do that, this is something we did. We used a C data tag, which will basically make sure that this highlight text are basically not changed. And I think that should be fine. Now over here in the main activity, we just need to change that, sorry, not in the main activity, in the onboarding screen, we need to change it back to the text so that we can access it. Now let's just try again, and I hope this time it will basically work. So let's just wait for this to build. Okay, so the app has installed. Let's just wait for this so that it runs. And now you can see that the text design, or like the text, is basically changing depending on where you want it. Now let's say I want to change the play and favorite as well to the as per the new styling that we have discussed. So I'm gonna change that to this for play and favorites, and then we'll use the closing tag for play and favorite as well. And now when you run that, this time when you run that, you will see that now the play and favorite will also be basically change the color depending on the need of this. Now you can see that. Okay, so like now this time the latest, the greatest, and all these things have also updated. And this is basically how you can change the style of a text view depending on the depending on what kind of design or style that you want. You can also add like more stuff as well, but this is, I think, for as per our requirement, this was something. Now let's just get rid of the favorites and place text, so that we have exactly same design that we have. And now what we need to do is that we need to place that girl icon, girl on top of that. So we'll go back to onboarding screen, and now inside this onboarding card, sorry, not inside this, like over here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a column for that, and then this column will basically be using that onboarding as a bottom icon, and we will be passing that align item inside this. So we'll be using modifier is equals to modifier dot align, something like this. Okay, you can also like fill max with that as well, so it takes that, so it basically do something like this. Now what I need to do is that I need to place that image of our girl. So I'm going to say IC girl, IMG girl, sorry. On top of that, I don't need to add any padding to that. I don't need to, I think we can add some size. Let me see what kind of size that it have. I think it's a fill max width, so it's a basically more like width, or let's say fill max width for that. And fill bound should not be that, it should be crop. Okay, so that is something that we should have. Now let's just try to run this and see if we get that girl on top of top of the card that we have. And what else we have left in the onboarding? Do we have anything left? I think we don't have anything else left on the onboarding, so that would be enough, or that would be the final touch for this. So let's just wait for this. Build completed. And here is something that we got. Okay, so I think that's something. When we go over here, I don't see anything that should be causing that spacing that we saw, but it could be the image that have the spacing. Let me see. I think it's the image that have the spacing. So if we go to that IC image girl, no, it doesn't have that spacing. So the onboarding card also have no padding or anything like that. I want that to be slightly more round as well. Yeah, this looks much better. And I think we also need no spacing for that. So what we need to do is that this card have this horizontal padding, so we'll just get rid of that padding as well. Fill max width, clipping, and then all the rest of the thing is fine. So, and the color is also set over here, so I think that should be fine. I don't understand why we don't get this. Why are we getting this spacing? Okay, let me just do one more thing. This padding should be 32 dp. So basically I didn't want it to basically do that, but I think I'll have to. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create some sort of a mechanism where we'll randomly calculate the height, and based on that we'll place this image accordingly. Okay, so I've just changed it back to what it was, and then we can also set that as, we can also like align this in the bottom. So now if you like look into that, it will look something like this. Now what we need to do is that we need to get that background image to at least at this level, from where we can set that. And since it's a random thing, we cannot hardcode. Like I can definitely hardcode something like when I say offset y is equals to, and then I'll set minus 200.dp, or say 200.dp, something like this. Once you do that, you will see that it will do something like this, or maybe 220 would be more proper, or depending on. So basically that's something that we can do, but like on a different screen it can behave differently, and we might not be able to basically get a proper look of this. So basically what we need to do is that we need to get a proper height of this card depending on whatever the size is, and then we will basically try to set this value. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say wall card height is equals to, remember mutable stable state of 0.dp. So that's something that I did. And now over here from this card section, I'm going to say card height dot minus sorry, dot value dot minus 20 dp, which means that I'm gonna basically reduce that from the actual height of this. And now over here what we are gonna do, let's just do, yeah, something like this on globally positioned, and this will basically give us something like this. Basically this is wrong. This is not, this will not give you the exact, instead it will give the value as a pixel. So when you change it to dp, it will basically not be able to convert it properly. So for that, what you need to do is you need to get the density, and that is basically means that it will now this will basically calculate the actual value based on the screen density pixels. Okay, so over here we have something like this, and now rather than using it like this, I'm gonna say wall height px as this, and now this value would be something like this. Instead you can just use directly like this as well. Okay, now once you do that, basically all you need to do is that you need to run, and I think there is one mistake that I did. I need to make that a negative value, not positive value, so we might not be able to see the actual result here. Let's see how it looks, and then we can fix it. Okay, so now you can see that the image is gone down, which is a wrong thing. What we need to do is that we need to make it a negative value. So if we make it a negative value this way, you will see that the image would be adjusted accordingly. Come on. Okay, so now you can see that the image has basically been placed at the current location, and you can like always adjust it depending on if you want to like reduce it to 20 or even 30, because like we have a 32 cut, so you can also use the 32 cut as well. But it's totally up to you on how you wanna place that image. But yeah, that's something that I showed you over here, is how you can handle these kind of scenarios where you have like two different sections but you want to place them accordingly. And that's something that we had for our onboarding. Quite a tricky stuff, but I think it's good that we have something like this. And now in the next thing that we'll do is that basically we'll when user click on that, we would want that user to navigate to a login screen. And next time we don't see this, because it should be only one time and not like each and every time. It should be shown only one time. So ideally the scenario should be if the onboarding has been seen by the user. If not seen by the user, we'll show this. If onboarding has already been seen by user, then we'll take the user to the login, and if user is already logged in, we can also take that user to the next step as well. So I think for today this should be enough. So I plan to integrate the login and registration screens to be designed in the same video as well, but I think the video has already taken a lot of time, so let's just pause it here, and in the next video let's just start working on the login and registration. So like the video, share the video, and if you have any question, concern, feedback, comment down below. If you don't have any concern and if you are clear about it, you still have to comment on this video. And I'll see you in the next video. So till then, happy coding. Bye. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you don't forget any update. If you got any question, you can join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Also, for quick updates and tips, you can follow me on Instagram. Until next time, keep learning, keep developing. Bye.